One of the most common questions I hear producers ask is, why do my vocals never sit right in the mix? They're either too loud, too quiet, or they sound good in one section and then completely fall apart in another. Today, I want to show you a simple and repeatable way to balance your vocals, how to choose the right vocal position for the song that you're working on, and more importantly, how to figure out what to EQ before you even start to track your vocals. This video is brought to you by DistroKid. If you're an independent artist that wants to get your original music onto streaming services like Apple Music or Tidal, DistroKid makes it fast and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their royalties and earnings. You can get started today using the link in the description for a discount off your first year with DistroKid. And if you're a student or a teacher, look out for the educational link for an even larger discount. Now, the first thing I'll do is route all of my lead vocals to a single bus. If you want to keep your doubles and harmonies at the same level as your lead, feel free to add them in too. Otherwise, you can route them to their own separate BG bus. Next, play back the song, close your eyes, and slowly bring up the fader until it feels right. Don't look at the meters, don't worry about levels or luffs or anything like that, just listen. This removes the visual bias of levels and meters, and it forces you to judge the vocals in the context of the music, just as a listener would, so that you can establish a natural and musical vocal level before overthinking it in the mix. Now, if you can't get your vocal hot enough, it may be that you need to turn down your instrumental relative to your vocal level and then turn the whole thing up on the mix bus, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Once your overall vocal level feels right, I reach for a trim plugin or a gain plugin to do some volume automation. Now, this video won't cover compression, but let me know if you'd like to see a separate in-depth video on vocal compression. Now, no singer delivers every word at the same intensity or volume. Some lyrics are going to poke out a little bit too much, and other parts are going to disappear altogether. It's common for vocalists to start louder and get quieter towards the ends of a phrase as they run out of air. Now, automation lets you support and reinforce the performance instead of just flattening it with compression alone. And the reason that I like to use a trim or a gain plugin is that once you start fussing around with volume automation, it locks your fader position. And if you ever want to go back and adjust the macro level of your vocals on the fader, well, you can't. This way you can adjust the gain of each lyric while still being able to control that overall vocal level later on so that your vocal stays consistent without losing emotion or dynamics. Now, it's important to remember that there is no one correct vocal level. In the next section, we'll talk about 3 intentional choices that you can make for your vocals. The first approach is to slightly bury your vocals. In this approach, the vocal sits inside of the instrumental instead of on top of it. It doesn't try to overpower the instrumental, but instead it blends in with it. And this works especially well in atmospheric music where the vocal is more part of the texture. Now, if you're going for vibe over clarity, or you're not super confident in your vocal delivery, this can help to blend the singer into the mix so that the listener stays immersed in the mood without being distracted by the vocal. For an example of this, check out Now That I've Given Up Hope, I Feel Much Better, Spanish Moss, or Total Loss by Edmonton group Shout Out 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 Out. But most of the time, when you're going for a professional sounding mix, you want the vocals to be balanced and clearly supported by the instrumental and not fighting against it to be heard. A great reference for this is Mr. Brightside by The Killers. You can hear every word clearly, but the band still feels huge. The song feels polished, clear, and emotionally engaged without the vocal taking focus away from the great instrumental parts. And the third method is to have the vocals clearly on top of everything else. In a vocal forward mix, the vocal is the song, and the instrumental is there to provide harmonic and stylistic content, but it's the voice that leads everything. This is perfect if you have a very charactered vocal or a song that relies heavily on storytelling so that the listener connects directly with the singer's personality and message. A A great example of this is Colter Wall's Saskatchewan in 1881. In fact, for a lot of his music, his deep, gravelly voice is the main focus, and the instrumental accompaniment is just there for that harmonic and stylistic context. Now, where all this becomes interesting is when vocal doubles, harmonies, background vocals, and gang vocals become used more for emphasis. Instead of just turning the lead up, you can add a double to key lyrics or bring in harmonies to highlight more emotional moments. This draws the attention to the vocal without breaking the overall balance, especially if you save these moments for areas with more intensity like the chorus or the bridge. This way you can highlight those important lyrics without making the vocal feel overall louder or crowded. And one last tip that I'll leave you with that I find makes a huge difference, and that's when you reach for an EQ, focus on balancing the singer's anatomy and not necessarily the notes that they're singing. So if you are a singer, or if you're working with a singer, after you get a level on their mic, get them to make a couple of sounds. A fry sound for throat resonance. Some sibilant sounds like tick, 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 pss, 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 pss. You know, get them to imitate a race car for those harsh nasal frequencies. Or any other consonants that you feel might be hot. P, b, th, k. Next, you're going to mark these frequency areas on your EQ, and then from the get-go, you know where all of these parts of your singer's voice live. All right, now we've got these trimmed, we can loop each one of these and find the frequency areas where each sound is most prominent. So anywhere you feel has a significant presence, just place an EQ point there. Some sounds may have more than one point, and that's totally okay. Some of these sounds may overlap just by the nature of the singer's anatomy, but just do your best to mark where these sounds show up on your voice or your singer's voice. B, 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 b. Now you have a list of target frequencies to start with for your particular singer. So once you go to EQ your vocal, if you need to cut some sibilants in the upper mids or add some body to the lower mids, you have a starting reference of what frequency your singer's voice occupies so that you'll have more control over how the vocal fits into your mix. So when you start with this little warm-up, you know exactly where your vocal really lives and what areas may be masked by other elements in the mix so that your vocal finds its way in the mix with much less processing. Remember, if your vocals never quite sit right, it's probably not because of the plugins you're using, but instead the decisions that you're making that are preventing your vocals from truly shining in the mix. So choose your vocal position intentionally and let automation do the fine-tuning balance for musicality. Leave a comment to let me know what else you're struggling with in your vocal mixing. I hope this video helped you out. Leave a like if it did, and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.